Hi everybody, I'm Yvonne Moss and we're going to do a tutorial today on how to make Bolognese. Am I saying it correctly, Ray?
That's right, Bolognese sauce.
So I'm excited to introduce my friend Ray Ciervo, who has been like a lifelong friend for almost 40 years now.
Going on 40 years.
And he is going to do this. He's real Italian, so I trust his judgment on this. And I've had it, it's absolutely delicious. If you want to know anything about Ray, he has a ministry where he teaches apologetics to those who are already believers but just don't have a good solid understanding of their faith, and he also loves to talk to skeptics. So if you're one of those skeptics out there and you want to get in touch with him, you can contact him at rayciervo.com.
Yes, or nopatanswers.com.
Okay, so we're going to start rolling now, okay? Hope you enjoyed this.
Okay, this is I call it a no-brainer tomato sauce. It's an easy bolognese. Some people cook their bolognese for 3 or 4 hours sometimes. I've heard of people taking 2 hours to cook it. Once you get everything chopped and added, it's 30 minutes on the stove. I mean, you're sauteing. When you saute your vegetables first, it's going to take about maybe 15 minutes. Brown your meat, you're done. All we're going to do is we're going to use one normal sized carrot. I like carrots, and I'll show you later when I chop them. I even make them a little bit bigger. 1 piece of celery and a medium sized onion. Now I think the onion adds a lot of flavor to it. This one's a little bit small for me once you take the skin off it, so I'm going to supplement it with another one. So we're going to put a little bit of that. A little bit of garlic, it's up to your taste. 2 cloves at a minimum. You can go to 4 cloves. I think once you hit a saturation point, doesn't matter how much garlic you put in, you're not going to kill it or overkill it. And then we're going to use some good Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. This I personally brought back from Italy, and that's really good cheese. And then a pound of your meat, chopped meat. You could use all beef. You could use a combination of beef, veal, and pork. I have some venison here, chopped meat, that I'm going to use with some pork just to flavor it and add a little bit of fat. And salt and pepper. Later on when we go to serve it, we'll have some basil just to put on top of it. And basically we're done. That's it. Okay. Chopping an onion. Like I said, once we take all the skin off of this, we're going to really reduce the size of it, and a medium onion actually becomes a small onion. I like robust flavors, even though Bolognese is not a real strong sauce. I do like the flavor of onion, and I like the bite of carrot in it, and I'll show you later that when I chop carrots, I'll do them a little bit differently. So I'm using a little bit more onion than normal, but a medium-sized onion, if you go strictly by it, that would probably be enough to just give you all the onion flavor you want. I went to the store this morning. They were selling Vidalia onions, which have a real sweet flavor, so they're really good too. A pile of what I do for my carrots, like I said, I cut them a little bit coarser because I like the bite of the carrot in the sauce. Some people don't like it, but it's up to you how you cut them. Just give them a rough chop. The onions basically will melt down more than not. And celery, I think celery has a lot of flavor in it, and I particularly don't like a lot of celery. So I'll probably use less than normal, but the equation is an onion, a carrot, 2 or 3 cloves of garlic.
You know, something that keeps celery lasting longer is wrapping it in aluminum foil versus plastic inside the fridge.
Is that right?
Yeah, that was a tip from, the heck is that site? cooksillustrated.com.
Really? I haven't been there for a while. I should go back and see it. I'm just going to give everything a rough chop. I'll cut these a little bit finer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've got all our vegetables cut. Oh, garlic. Can't forget garlic. You can mush the garlic, slice it,
You
mince
already
it.
peeled it, right?
It's already peeled, yeah.
And a clove is one of those little things on the inside, boys
Yeah.
and girls, not the entire thing. That's
Right,
called a
that's
bulb.
called a bulb. This is called a clove.
Right. For those of you beginners, because I've been asked that question on a couple of occasions.
Okay, so all our vegetables are ready. Use some extra virgin olive oil, and basically you want to cover the bottom of the pan. You can just pick up the board and slide them all in. What we're going to do is just salt everything. Not too much salt, because when we put our cheese in later, that cheese has a lot of salt flavor in it, but you want to put salt and pepper.
Fresh pepper is better.
Absolutely. Fresh ground pepper. And then what we just want to do is on a medium flame. You can go, if you're risky, you could do medium high. I've got some real strong burners here, so I have to watch them. This is a good pot. It heats up slow, but once it gets hot, it works really nice and well. You can see the colors will start to come out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to brown some meat, and a pound of meat. So you got a carrot, an onion, celery stalk, carrot, an onion, a celery stalk, and a pound of meat, and some garlic. And like I said, I'm using some pork and some venison. Venison's very lean. I didn't fatten this up because I'm going to have some fat in the pork. And all we're going to do here is we're going to raise our temperature so that the meat will brown.
Here we go.
Okay, we're going to add our tomato sauce. And all we're going to do here is, it's a 28-ounce can of tomato sauce. If you like, you can puree your own tomatoes, but you want 28 ounces of them.
How many will this feed, Ray?
Depends on how big of eaters they are. You can feed 4 on this easy.
Okay.
I think this is a dinner for 4 pretty easily. You know, with a pound of pasta and this mixture right here, you've got enough for a dinner for 4
Have
easy.
you doubled this?
Yeah, I've doubled it, and I think one time even tripled it. And what you want to do now is, anytime you're cooking tomatoes like this, you want to bring them to a boil. And again, having a good pot is so important, because the last thing you want to do is burn your sauce. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to a boil. And you can see how it all looks so great, and what it'll look like once it's on top of some pasta.
That is a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing. Again, having a good pot and a good stove, good cooktop. Once it's up to a boil, you can. That's basically what you want to see it doing.
And then you're going to simmer it?
Yep. Then I'm just going to let it simmer. You can see
For
it's
how
just
long?
30 minutes.
30 minutes.
And you're done. But leave a little
you're
bit of an
leaving it
escape hatch.
A little crack. Okay.
Yeah. Quarter of a cup of grated Parmigiano cheese. Parmigiano Reggiano is the best. And just stir that in. That's really going to add some flavor and also some salt to it. Again, I tend to undersalt things and let people salt them on their plate rather than oversalt them. Or salt them to the way I like them. But we salted earlier, and this again is going to add some flavor to it. And we're just going to let this finish off for about another 5 minutes, and it's really ready to go. And as soon as our pasta is ready, we can plate it. Just going to give it a little bit of a taste. Very nice. Very nice. Okay, just going to do a little chiffonade with our basil. Again, some people like to put the basil in the sauce before it's finished. You can put it in almost any time, but I'm just going to cut enough to kind of just give us enough for the top of our plate, and depending whether you're making 4 dishes or whatever, so you can roll up the basil. Basil was always, when I was growing up, basil was like, when you didn't have anything else, you had what we call basiligot, which is Italian or New York Italian for cooked basil, which today they call pesto and charge you $15 in a restaurant. To us that was rolling it the way Yvonne says she does it now.
Makes it longer.
Yeah, makes it longer when you put it down. So what I do is I'll just put this on top of the plate. It's nice for color and it gives you a little bit of flavor. Okay, just a couple of technique things Yvonne just pointed out. One of the things is I don't use a round spoon, but I use something with a flat edge, because when you stir, you want to be able to get all the way down to the bottom and move everything together, whereas if you use something that's round like that, that wouldn't happen. That's not bad if you just want to stir a pot of water, which also what we started doing was boiling our water for pasta. The pasta's already in there. The key things to know about making pasta is you always want to have more than enough water to cover how much pasta you're making. I'm using less than a pound. I think this is only 12 ounces of pasta. And you always want to make sure you salt your water. You want to put enough salt in there. A handful of it in a pot of water is fine. You're not going to over salt it. You're not going to make your pasta taste too salty, but it is going to taste. And what we want to do is we want to cook our pasta until it's not soft and limp, but in Italian we call it al dente, which means to the tooth. It's one of those phrases that we don't know where it came from or how it's used. It basically has a little bit of bite to it. And I'm not using a plain white flour pasta. I'm using a Barilla pasta that has basically it's I think a whole grain pasta. This one's called a multi-grain pasta, which is a really nice pasta. And so we're just waiting for it to come to that place.
Can you talk about why you chose rotini for this dish?
Okay, yeah. I chose rotini. I'll show you in a minute if I can get my hand on one of them. They're a little bit hot. Rotini has spirals. And basically it's very good for trapping the sauce. So with every bite you're making sure it's got a little bit of sauce in it. That's why I like the rotini pasta. Fusilli, I think, is another kind that will be round like this. There's only about 300 different kinds of pasta to choose from. Well, we're almost there.
I was always taught that if like you bite into it and you see like a tiny, tiny circle inside, like
Really?
that it'll be tender to bite into it, but you'll see it just go to an inner circle of just a tiny bit darker. I don't know if that's authentically Italian, but that's kind of
I
how
was
do it.
always the official pasta taster in my house, so what I used to do when I was a kid, because I didn't put hot pasta in my mouth, was I would always bring it over to the stove and run cold water on it. And now I don't. Now I just take a bite out of it.
Mm-hmm. But look and see if you can see in the center of it. Is there like a slight...
No, I don't think I could see the center of anything.
Okay, I'm gonna try it.
We're there.
I'm gonna try it. Give me one. Sorry.
Bring this up.
Okay, I don't know if I'm moving in front of the camera, but... Yes, absolutely. Do you see that? How you can see just like...
Oh, a little bit of white in there. Okay,
Yeah,
I
just like
never thought of that. I never heard of that before.
Yep. I'm not gonna show you because it's really too tiny for you to see. Maybe I'll take a picture.
See, where
That'll work.
everybody learned something from somewhere. Okay, these are my lobster gloves.
You have to have man hands to like those gloves, I
Yeah.
think.
It's just for grabbing hot pots if I don't have 2 dish towels around. And what we want to do is just drain our pasta, get the water out of it. That's why one of these are really nice. This is a fairly new invention to an Italian. Usually what we use was a colander, or a sculabasta is what we called it in Italian, or in New York Italian anyway. I don't know that that's the right way they pronounce it in Italy.
Now, do you rinse your pasta or not?
I don't rinse my pasta.
I don't either, but I don't really know why I don't.
I'm not sure why anybody would. I would think you would make it cold if you did rinse it. And what I want to do, I think I got most of it out, is just plate this up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, what I do what I like to do is put a little bit of sauce down on the bottom before I bring my pasta into it.
That's a good tip.
This way, it just makes it easier to mix. Yeah, what I like to do is put a little bit of sauce down on the bottom before I bring my pasta into it.
That's a good tip.
This way, it just makes it easier to mix.
That looks yummy.
Looks very good. And then you can just put some of this, if you like a little bit more cheese, and just mix this up.
There you have it.
And there it is. That's a bolognese, a very simple bolognese. I'm sure if you peruse any of the cooking channels, you'll have all different kinds shown on there, and I'm sure that I got some of my tips from that, from watching some of the cooking channels. But that's our bolognese, and I love it. My wife loves it. It's a winner.
It's a winner.
It's always a winner. It's always so good. And like I said, I keep my carrots a little bit chunkier because I like carrots and I like the bite of the carrot in the sauce. It doesn't overpower it, but it's a really delicious pasta sauce, and as you saw, very easy to make. 45 minutes. Once you learn to chop your vegetables from start to finish, you could be sitting down with a nice bowl of pasta. Good glass of wine would come in nice right about now too.
No excuse. You don't have to jump in the car and go to a fast food place.
That's right. Or you would pay at least $15, if not more, in a restaurant. I know here on the Jersey Shore, we've seen bolognese for up to $20-something for a dish of bolognese. That, quite honestly, is not as good as this. This is a good dish of bolognese, and once you learn to do it, you'll be experimenting yourself, going with all different kinds of meat. Like I said, you could use veal, pork, and beef, or all beef, however you like it.
Thank you, Ray.
You're welcome. My pleasure.